My name is Steve McHugh. I am the author of the Hellequin Chronicles and next year's Avalon Chronicles. And this is my AMA, which I got people to send me questions like 6 weeks ago. And I had to finish the book and then edit the book, and then the kids were on holiday, and getting anything done when you have 3 children running around is not always simple. So, I'm doing it now. I have a list of questions here, so if I do look away from the camera, first of all, I'm not great with the camera because I haven't used it a whole lot. Second of all, I'm reading something. Probably reading something. Yes, lots of tattoos. People do comment on them quite a lot. I have tons. They go up my arms and stuff. This is my office. You have to excuse it is a little bit dark because I had to close the curtain there because there was a glare. Yes, this is my office. There are Gundam models that I haven't built because they take bloody ages. Board games. Behind me in here is a bunch of Star Wars stuff, and then on top is a Slave One, which I'm not going to try and move the camera to show you because it's up there. And my bearded dragon, Kaiju, who is in here, looking thoroughly fed up at having someone in his office with him. There are questions about pens. So, pens. I'll get to those. I promise. Right. Lots of questions. I haven't gone through them all and edited them because I kind of wanted it to be a surprise when I started reading them. I kind of just wanted it to be a bit natural. I don't want to come up with these huge, long-winded answers for things, but I do ramble a bit. I do swear a bit. My kids aren't here, so I'm like free to swear like a fucking sailor. So yeah, if you're offended by swearing, how will you read my books? Because that would be weird, because there's lots of it. And so yeah, so questions there. However, I have everybody who emailed me a question about book 7, kind of bunked them all together, or the audiobook of book 6, and I'll answer those 2 first. Okay, book 7, Scorched Shadows. Last Hellequin book, not last Nate book. What comes after Hellequin Chronicles is the Avalon Chronicles. And I can't tell you what comes after the Avalon Chronicles because it's a massive spoiler. But Avalon Chronicles, Nate's not in it. For reasons that become very clear in Scorched Shadows. The first Avalon Chronicles takes place about 6 months before book 7. The other 2 take place about a year after book 7. So book 7 is kind of the definitive, like, shit just hit the fan, everything's changed. Now we move on. There are characters from Hellequin Chronicles in Avalon Chronicles. Remy, Diana, Tommy, Casey, Chloe, bunch of other ones. But the book is primarily about a young human woman, or she starts off human, called Layla. And she gets dragged into something she really didn't want to get dragged into. And it all kind of goes a bit wrong. And that's what it's about. So that's the first one, anyway. I haven't written the second one yet, so could be about anything. No, I know what it's about. It's fine. Don't worry. My publisher sees this. I do know what it's about. I'm not making this shit up as I go along, or I am, but you know, it's kind of what my job is. So that's book 7. Book 7. Hellequin Chronicles were originally going to be, I did say 20 books, yes it is. And there'll probably still be about that, but it became pretty apparent that the Hellequin story was done by book 7. It was originally going to be done in book 8 or 9, but I didn't want to just write a book that was filler, essentially. And I might use the ideas that I had for that book another time. But yeah, essentially, Hellequin's done. It's over. Like I said, you'll discover why in books when you read book 7. And so yeah, there's still going to be that number of books ish. 7 Hellequin, Avalon, and then probably 2 or 3 trilogies afterwards, where Nate is a central character. Whether or not Nate's the only central character, I don't know yet. Hopefully this video is not too crap shot thing. I'm just using my Max camera because I don't have like a standard setup because I've never done this before. If I decide to keep doing these sort of things, then maybe I'll buy one. But, you know, I want to throw money at something that I don't need to, essentially. Right, so that's book 7. Now on to the audiobook. Yes. I get a lot of emails about the audiobook for book 6. I know James did books 1 to 5 and he did an amazing job. And then he couldn't do book 6 for whatever reason. He was unavailable. And Simon very kindly stepped in to do book 6. And I think, personally, Simon did a great job. I was very happy with his interpretation of the characters, and I thought he was great. Whether or not he's doing book 7, I have no idea. I won't know until, I don't know, when I get told, probably closer to its release date, which I don't know when that is either. Just so you're aware, I don't know when book 7's coming out. I've been told that I should get an email within about a month or so to give me a date. But until then, your guess is as good as mine. It will more than likely be out before the first Avalon Chronicles, which is next May, I think, off the top of my head. So before then. If you said, will it be out this year? I couldn't say no. Let's put it that way. But I don't know when. It might not be to the beginning of next year. So yeah. So, book 7, Avalon Chronicles. Now we can start with the audiobook even. Now we can start with the questions. Okay, now these aren't in order, like I said. They're just whatever was sent to me. So, Sean asks, from when you first had the idea for the character of Nate, how long before you put him in readable form? Right. I have always written since I was little. But I never really took it very seriously until my eldest daughter, Kira, was born when I was 25, so 13 years ago this year. And she kind of gave me a bit of a kick up the butt. Her birth gave me a kick up the butt that I needed to really get serious about it. So I started writing a lot. I wrote a book called 4 Past Sins, which no one will ever read. And that was kind of the precursor to what Nate became. I finished it, sent it off to some agents. Got lots of, it's very nice, but that's very good feedback, and just essentially rewrote the whole thing. New story, new characters, complete different names of characters, everything. But the main character for Past Sins became Nate, essentially. So he's been in my head for years, probably 5 years before I finished book 5. Book 1. 5 years before I finished Crimes Against Magic. There, see. So yeah, a while. Not continuing notes and scribbled ideas. How developed was the character, and did he continue to develop and evolve as you wrote the first book? Yeah, all characters evolve as I write them. No one is stagnant, because that would suck. So yeah, no, they all do. They all evolve, they all get change. Nate, Mordred, Remy, all of them. They are different as they've gone on. So yeah, I had a good idea of what the characters are before I write them, because otherwise they'd be a mess, and you couldn't write them. But they do change. They do evolve as people evolve. Sorry, yawned. So yeah, no, they do evolve, they do change, but they are pretty well grown by the time I start to write them. Also, when writing book 1, did you have any groundwork for the following books? Yeah, I knew exactly what I was going to write for the next. I had fairly detailed notes for about the first 4, and then pretty detailed notes for the next 4, and then plot notes for the following rest. So I knew what was going to happen and what I wanted to happen, and where the overall arc of the book would go, of the story, sorry, would go. But I didn't kind of plot it out in minute detail. But I don't plot books out in minute detail because I would ignore it, and my brain doesn't work that way. It just goes off on a tangent and does whatever the hell it wants, as a rule. So yeah, no, I don't do minute detail. Right, Brian asks, it's been driving me nuts to try and figure out what the merging of water and air creates. My first thought was it was ice, but water users already use ice. They do, yeah, that's right. Every other combination is covered. Please tell me what it is. Book 7. That will have the answer in. It is not what anybody has thought it would be. No one's got it right. No one has suggested that it is right. And I've had all sorts of suggestions, from fog to vapour, fog, cyclone. That was a good one. No, none of them are. It is much more simple, and I think quite an interesting idea. So yeah, but you will find out what it is in book 7. It is something that Mordred can do. Next is Natalie, who has a few questions. Okay. Is Nate really Zeus due to some complicated magical fuck up, and that's why Hera hates him so much? Right. Okay. No. That is the answer to that question. Nate is not Zeus. Hera hates Nate because she's nuts. She's evil, nasty, unpleasant, and hates him because she is scared of the fact that he is capable of great power and not under her control. That is it. But he's not Zeus. No, two different people. Or is Zeus Nate's dad? No. That is the answer to that one too. It's not a spoiler. He's going to be a little while before you find out who Nate's dad is. You don't find out in Scorched Shadows. But, yeah, he's not Nate's dad. No. Is Mordred secretly a goodie? Anyone who hasn't read book 6 yet, Mordred is back. And he's not quite what you might think he would be. Book 7 definitely shows you where Mordred stands on the good guy, bad guy spectrum. He is... the book 7, for people who don't know, is split in two. And part of it is by Nate, and part of it is by Mordred. Mordred's is in third person, Nate's is in first, as it usually is. Mordred's story was fun to write. He is very quite different to Nate. What's the witch's problem? Poor child. Mara is just nasty and horrible and mean and cruel and vicious and unpleasant. And yeah, Chloe's pretty cool. I like Chloe. I like writing Chloe. She's in Avalon Chronicles a lot. But yeah, no, Mara's just unpleasant. 5. What happens when all the blood marks are gone? Actually, I don't want this one answered. I've been waiting since Cerberus' first appearance. All the blood marks will go, and something will happen. That is the answer. I'm not going to spoil what happens, and I'm not going to tell you when all the blood marks go. But when it happens, something will happen. That is the best non-answer I can come up with. 6, not a question, just a thank you for the story being so nice in the chat and say I'm holding up and then getting a happy ending. You're welcome. I always like talking to people who enjoy reading my books, and I still find the idea that me writing my crazy stories people love and has an effect on people. I was talking to my wife about it this morning because I had an email a little while ago from someone who said that they were going through a really dark time in their life, and they were considering suicide and things like that, and they read my books, and that lifted them a bit. And that stuff like that is just, it's what you kind of live for as an author. You want someone to read your books and for them to fall in love with the characters and the story and the plot and everything else. So thank you to everyone who does. Is Nate going to get a happy ending? What do you think? It's Nate. Nate's happiness is... No. I just like torturing him. Sorry. You might do one day. You never know. This isn't the end of Nate, so you never know. How much do we need to donate to get you to book 9 to 11? Well, I have done, but they are Avalon Chronicles. That was David. Chris says, more Nate, please. Maybe a nice spin-off of Tommy failing hilariously at doing everyday things. That would be great. Yeah, if more Tommy I would be fine with. I might put Tommy, Remy, and Mordred just as like in those three, just trying to live their life as just horrendous pains in the ass to everybody who meets them. That would be highly entertaining. Yeah, no, I'd. Yeah, that would be good fun, actually. Yeah. Andre, why did you choose Hellequin as your main character? How did you come up connecting with Camelot? Right. Hellequin is a French legend of a demon that roams the lands, killing wicked people. It's thought of as being a precursor to Harlequin, although I'm not 100% certain how accurate that is, and I'm sure someone will be able to tell me. So yeah, that's what that is. I just liked the idea. There was something about the idea of Nate just roaming the lands and using fire magic and air magic, and people thinking he's a demon and just killing all these bad people, and it went from Nate doing it to taking on a life of its own and a myth and everything else. So that's kind of where that came from. It just made sense to me to do. As for Camelot, I love mythology. And I don't care whose mythology it is. I love mythology. I think it's really interesting. Greek, Roman, Mesopotamian, British, Irish, whatever. Don't care. It's all great. It's very interesting stuff. And I always say that if I wrote a book, when I wrote a book, I was just going to do all of it. Because you get a lot of books out there and they use a certain type of mythology when they use mythology. They'll use Roman or Greek or Norse or Egyptian or whatever. And I just kind of wanted to say, well, if the Greeks are around, why wouldn't Merlin? Why wouldn't Set? Why wouldn't the Mesopotamian gods? So I just kind of said, if one is, then they all must be, because that's just how it works. So I kind of wanted Nate to be part of that. And having Avalon be kind of in control of everything just kind of made sense. So that's kind of where all that came from. It was just I thought it was a good idea, really. Charlie, I was excited when you started talking about a new book, and now I'm a little bummed. Please don't leave a bunch of stuff unanswered. Right, I'm not leaving stuff unanswered. Well, there will be stuff unanswered at the end of Scorched Shadows. There's a bunch of stuff unanswered at the end of Scorched Shadows. Yeah, like tons of stuff. Well, not tons, that's unfair. There's stuff unanswered at the end of Scorched Shadows. There's stuff that will be answered. Who my liege is, what they are doing, and the marks, the curse marks, stuff like that, all answered. Promise. There are other things that will not be answered, and that won't be answered for later books. But a lot of stuff's going to be answered at the end of Scorched Shadows. Why did you study Earned It? Well, yeah, that's why. I've already said. Makes sense. Are you going to keep writing? Yeah. Yeah, definitely keep writing. I've got no plans to stop. I have another 2 Avalon Chronicles books that I have to write by the end of, middle of next year. And on top of that, I've got a sci-fi book that I've got to finish editing, and then I've got a couple of epic fantasy books that I want to write, and a few other bits and pieces. So yeah, I've got loads to do. How many ideas over the years have you had that you've not had the opportunity to explore? Quite a few. I've got notebooks over here, like just loads of notebooks full of story ideas. So I'd quite like to write them, because otherwise they just sat there gathering dust. Any ideas what you will be writing? Everything. No, not everything, obviously, because I do like sleep. But once Hellequin's done, then I've got Avalon Chronicles and stuff that I want to explore outside of urban fantasy, like science fiction, fantasy, things like that. And a thriller that I've got an idea for as well. Jonathan, does that mean Nate will be a supporting character in the next series? He is not a supporting character. He is not in the Avalon Chronicles. He might be in the first one. I don't want to say he is or isn't, because that would be a spoiler. But possibly he might be in the first one. But he's not a supporting character, no. Shane, is 42 the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything? Yes, I thought we'd figured that one out a long time ago. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Sally, question. What trauma did you suffer in life that you caused to tease you when I tease my fans? I just think it's funny. I'm mean. No, I just like to kind of put stuff out there. And let you know this is what's happening. This is what I'm doing. Here's a little taste of what's coming. I just think it's nice to do. Right. A few people asked about writing as a concept and said that they find it hard to convert the scene in the head to words. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it is hard. It's difficult sometimes. There are days when the scene in my head, I don't want to write it. It doesn't come out in words. I'll be tapping away and nothing's happening. But they're rare. The problem with the thing is that if you've got the scene in your head, and even if you make notes, even if all you've done is you get a notebook like that one, and you just make notes in it about what the scene in your head is, at least you've written something down. So when you go to write the scene, you've actually got something written that you can use from, and not just your head. You've already started the process. It's not once you start the process, once it clicks and it just starts flowing. Or it does for me anyway. I can't say it's for everybody. But yeah, just start. Just sit in front of a computer or a notebook with a pen and just write whatever it is you're seeing in your head, even if you're not writing it in like full sentences, even if it's just note taking or describing things. Just write something, because if you're not going to write something, then it's never going to be told, because it's just going to stay in your head. There's a piece of advice. There's a comic book writer called Brian Michael Bendis. He wrote something called Powers, and this was many years ago. He put out a script book of Powers, and in it, he says, if you're talking about writing something and what you think is that it's great, what your idea is, but you're not writing it, you can pretty much guarantee that somebody else already will, and it's true. If you've got a great idea and you haven't written it, then somebody else might write it first, and then you're stuffed. So yeah, if you've got the drive and you want to write, don't let anything get in the way. Just sit and write something. Okay, will we find out who Nate's father is? We will, I promise. What happened to Zeus? Also find out what happened to Zeus. That is in book 7 too. Definitively in book 7. Okay, what happened to Zeus? Okay, Kirsty, will you write other books in the same universe? You have on Chronicles. So yeah, I do have an idea for a historical trilogy about the Titan Wars. So it would be from Hades' point of view. But when am I going to write that? I don't know. If I ever write that, I don't know. It's just an idea I've got in my head. A couple of questions. What's the hardest scene you've ever had to write and why? Ooh. I've had to write a few difficult scenes. Marine dying. Oh, spoilers. In book 3 was pretty hard going, because I had no intention of killing him until it made sense that he had to die. And it sucked. Because I really liked the character, and I found him really interesting, and then I had to kill him. And that kind of sucked a bit. And I don't usually care too much, because I usually know who dies and who lives before the end of the book. So yeah, that was difficult. That was a hard thing to write. Other than that, that's probably the hardest. Sex scenes. I don't like writing sex scenes, which is why after book 3 I haven't written a sex scene. I just don't like writing them. That's it. I don't think they're very good from my sex scenes, not in general. I don't think they're particularly great. I can't be asked to keep trying and make them better, because I can easily just skip a sex scene. Actually, that sounds really unprofessional. Can't be asked. It's not that. It's just the fact that I don't really think mine are very good, so I don't write them because I'd rather put something else in instead. So yeah, that's about it. If you could go back in time and give yourself younger advice on writing, what would it be? Write something. Jesus Christ. Yeah. For years, I was that guy who was like, I'm going to write a book one day. Yeah, well, write the fucking book then. Yeah, tell them actually, I'd go back and tell them to get off his ass and write the fucking book. And not faff, and not make excuses, and not go out with your mates when you could do something else, constructive, or... Yeah, there were lots of times when I could have been writing, and I'd be like, oh, I can do this instead. So yeah, don't do that. Right, that's what I would advice I'd give. If you could choose a writing mascot, what would it be and why? I have a writing mascot. I'm not going to get him out because he'll be unhappy. But my little kaiju, my bearded dragon, he's my little writing mascot, and he's just opened his eyes and looked this way. He is a fully grown bearded dragon. He's pretty big, and he is great company because he says nothing, and he just stares at you, willing you to get on with it. So yeah, he's my mascot. Morgan, are Nate and Mordred brothers? Not blood brothers. No, they're not. They're not siblings. They're brothers in arms, I guess, but not blood brothers. And how did you find one idea to stick with in writing? I feel like a great idea and rapidly lose interest. I was exactly the same. When I was younger, 18, 19, 20, I would write like a chapter, and then I'd be like, yeah, I write a chapter. And I'll write this now. And then I'll go write another chapter, and then I got bored quick. Force is how I stuck with it. And now I got contracts, so you have to stick with it because it's your job. But back when I was first starting writing, it was if I didn't think it was working, I wouldn't stick with it, or I'd tweak it enough so it worked. But I probably didn't know how to do that back then when I first started out. I probably couldn't have switched up a story to change it to make it work if I thought it wasn't working. So yeah, no, I think it's difficult to stick with something if you're not mad keen on how it's going. I think when you know it's right, you know it's working, then you don't want to write something else. Problem being is my brain is always ticking over. So I'll be halfway through writing one book and suddenly a big new shiny story will happen in my head. And I can't go and do that because I've got to finish a book. That's hard work. So normally what I do is I take a day and I just blitz this new idea. Just write loads of notes, whatever's in my head, scribble it all down. And then it's all out. I can go back to doing the job of what I was doing, or writing the book I was writing. And then I can always come back to this later on. And I find that works really well. So you can try that. If you're writing something and suddenly you've got something else in your head of a new idea of art, just write it all down in a notebook. And then go back to the thing you're writing and see if whether or not it still holds your interest. That's the best advice I can give, really. Chris, did Hellequin ever visit the Tower of Hercules in Acornia? It seems like that's all a place he would have visited. Quite possibly. I have a timeline of exactly what Nate made, of the major things Nate's done over his lifetime. And that's not on there, but it's feasible that he might have done. Keith, he's asked two questions. The first one is why have you decided to end Hellequin Chronicles? And I've already answered that. How many pens do I own? Pens! Right, okay. This is... I'm going to have to move this. This is a mug of pens. Actually, this is a Warhammer 40,000 tankard. This is a few. I have loads more over there. But these are my currently either in use or very nice pens. In here there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I've probably got about 30 fountain pens. Now most of those are like lammies and things like that. They're not really anything, you know, massively expensive or exciting. Got a few Twisbees, and that's one. Monteverde. These are the good ones. These are my really nice ones. I'm going to put this back now because I don't want to drop them all over the floor. Also going to break the thing. Okay. These are my really nice ones. Visconti, Moonlight Arc. It's a sack filler. That's my favourite pen. There's that one and that one, which is a custom made. You can probably just about see the finish. It's kind of a marbly green and black. So yeah, I've got loads, and I use all of them. And the other one I really like is my Diplomat Aero. It looks like a Zeppelin. On purpose, not because I'm saying it. It actually is supposed to. That's very cool. I've got a few Viscontis. Van Gogh, because he's my favourite artist, and this is Starry Night, because it's my favourite piece of art. So, yeah. Yeah, there's loads. I've got let's have Faber-Castell. Stealth, I think it's called. It's just a black pen that they named Stealth. So, yeah, lots of pens. And I use them all for writing, for note-taking. I tend to write loads of notes in books and then go to the computer. I don't write it all on the notebook, because that's crazy. So yeah, that's what I do. Right, pens. Michael, where did these idea form for these books? I've always had ideas for books in my head. I've always had an idea for kind of the badass, kick-ass, action hero-y kind of character who goes out and saves the world several times over. So it's just kind of formed over the years. Like all ideas that I have for any book, it can come from playing a board game, reading a book, playing a computer game, going for a walk, having a shower. Doesn't matter. So at some point, something will happen, and I'll have an idea for a scene or a character or a story or something, and then it builds pretty quickly up from there. And it happens a couple of times a week, maybe once. Yeah, no, a couple of times a week. And most of the time, I'll be like, it's just a scene. I can insert that into another book. And then sometimes it's like, that's a whole new book. And then I have to sort stuff out and make notes and stuff of a new notebook, because I have one notebook per book. And some books have like 6 notebooks, depending on how much world building I decide to do. So, right, I'll stop rambling now. Lee, would you ever consider doing crossover sorts with another author? Ooh, no. Short answer. I don't know. It's never come up. I've never really thought about it. It would depend on the author and what the offer was and what they wanted me to do. If they want me to write Hellequin meets Spider-Man, yeah, I could do that. So long as I get to write the story I want to write, that's fine. But it'd be kind of weird to write another character from a book, from another world in books, and insert it into my own world. That would be kind of strange. D. I've already answered the questions. Why stop Hellequin now? Because that's the right time. Will the Hellequin universe continue? Yes, without Hellequin in it. What are you going to write now? The next book. And do you intend to go back to Hellequin? Yes, but it won't be called Hellequin. James. I hope your book is very long. It is. It's the long. Book 7 is the longest Hellequin book. It's like 148,000 words or something. It's massive. Promise of Wrath was the longest book, and that was 143,000 words, maybe. But it is. Scorched Shadows is bloody huge. It takes forever to write. Andrew, have you been approached from a Hellequin movie? Nope. No, I have not. I assure you, if that happened, people will know, because I won't shut the fuck up about it. Yeah, I will be telling everybody. If so, no, I haven't been approached. Adam, firstly, thank you for the wonderful memories you created with your imagination talent. Oh, very kind. Thank you very much. Your work is duly appreciated. Can you tell us what books and authors have given you the most inspiration in writing Hellequin Chronicles? Ooh, okay. When I was a kid, when I was about 12, my English, I read a lot of Choose Your Own Adventure books, Steve Jackson, Ian Livingstone. And my teacher said, my English teacher, Mr. Piercy, my English teacher said that I really needed to go and read something else. Something with a bit more meat on the bones, so to speak. Not a Choose Your Own Adventure book, but anything, doesn't matter what. So I went next door to the library, school library. I picked up Men at Arms by Terry Pratchett and Legend of Druss by I can't believe the name of the author has just completely left my head. Gemmell. That's who it was. Gemmell. David Gemmell. And I read both of those. And they are two of my favourite authors, which is even more embarrassing than the name left my head. Two of my favourite authors ever. And that night, my dad took me down to the local library in Netley, which is where we lived. And I picked up Stephen King. I was 12. I picked up Stephen King's It and Dean Kootz's. Oh, damn, what's it called? It's the one where the family are all murdered and she's kidnapped and kind of taken by this killer. Insanity or Intensity, I think. And there are a couple of other books, but wow, they kind of opened my eyes a bit. And that was when I wanted to be a writer. I knew then that this is what I want to do. They inspired me to write, and my teacher kind of inspired me to write too, because he was the one who kind of said, you should write, you should do stuff like this, you would like doing it. And he was the one who used to set creative writing stories for us to write in class. So yeah, that's kind of where the inspiration came for me wanting to write. Other authors who inspire me to write, Neil Gaiman, Steve Ditko, Grant Morrison, Robin Hobb, Kelly Armstrong, Jim Butcher. There's loads, just tons and tons and tons of authors who are brilliant, and whose work I love. And they kind of, over the years, I've read work from people and been like, that's what I want to do. So yeah, I read a lot of horror and Clive Barker and stuff like that when I was a kid. Clive Barker, Stephen King, Dean Koontz. Probably others I can't think off the top of my head, but yeah, bizarrely enough, I read a lot of horror and I write fantasy, and I don't really read a lot of horror anymore. So that kind of was where the inspiration came, author-wise, from reading those as a kid. Cam, okay, here goes. Has the reception to the Hellequin series been a surprise? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a lot, actually, to be honest. It's been, strange. A good strange, don't get me wrong. Going in, you would have been nervous. Has the reception exceeded your hopes? Massively exceeded my hopes. It is massive. It's been so much bigger than I expected. Something like, my publisher told me that something like for every 9 people who buy Crimes, every 10 people buy Crimes, 9 of them buy the rest, which is astonishing. And thank you if you are one of those people. And I'm very, very happy with how it's gone, and that they mean something to people, and that people love them, people love the characters, people like talking about them. Yeah, it means a lot to me. Thank you very much. With the current amount of loose ends in the Chronicles now, Arthur Awake, Merlin Confrontation, Harry London, Big Bad versus Nate, Mordred versus Nate, Nate's Parents, Norse Rome War, I'm assuming that the Chronicles are just the appetizer to the world of Abercon and there will be follow-up series. Well, yeah, basically. If this is right, we'll be centred around Nate. It will be centred around Nate. Or are you planning a surprise token rollings and splitting the final book into 15 parts and actually close it out? No. No. No, it will be still about Nate. I mean, the Avon Chronicles is about Layla, so she's going to play a part. But moving forward after that, yes, Nate's going to play a really big part in the story. He is the centre, essentially, of the story. So, yeah, Nate's not going anywhere. Have I gone past my initial plans for the number of books and Chronicles? No, this is roughly where I wanted the Hellequin stuff to finish anyway. Feels like the past books have been closer together in the release. Is this final chapter taking longer because there's more to tell? No, it's just the fact that the previous book, when I had 2 out in a year, because I had the first book out, and then the second book very close, and then the third book a year later, and then fourth book a year later, and then the fifth book the same year, and the sixth book a year later. And usually it's because I haven't had anything else. I can write more than 1 book at a time. And I was working full time as well, so I was writing about 1.5 books a year. It's not because it's that big. It is a massive book, but that's not why it's taking so long. It's taking so long because it's just that long to write a book. And I've had a couple of other things to write as well, and that's why really. They've roughly been 1 a year, just under. But I mean, it's been if Scorched Shadows comes out this year, I'll have released 7 books in 5.5 years. It's pretty good. I'm okay with that. There's a lot of inspiration coming from pop culture. Where do you find that you get most inspiration from your work? Star Wars, Naruto. Yeah, it's Star Wars. Love Star Wars. Big Star Wars fan. Always been a big Star Wars fan, except the prequels, which I'll just ignore and pretend don't happen. That's where Tommy gets his love of Star Wars. Me. Tommy's probably the character closest to me as a person, apart from the werewolf part and the killing people part. I don't do those. But the rest of it, probably quite close to me. He's a bit more of a protective of Casey than I probably would be. But yeah, no, his geekiness is very close to where I am with the Star Wars and things like that. Although I like anime and video games and stuff like that, which is why Mordred is also a big geek with the video games, because that's something I like a lot. And I've always wanted to put someone like that in there. So yeah, no, it's I get inspiration from all over the place. Yeah, just pop culture wise, just from everywhere. Star Wars is the easiest one because it's the one I grew up with. Lord of the Rings has been put in there. Naruto, Fullmetal Alchemist, probably a couple of other animes, stuff like that. Yeah. Any offers around the table for BBC, HBO? I bloody wish. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Not yet, but one day, maybe, hopefully. Keep up the great writing. Oh well, thank you very much. And hurry up with the next book. Yeah, I know. Chris, why did you change narrators? Oh, I've explained. James couldn't do it. Another one about James, about Promise of Wrath's narrator. Yes. Mike. Will you continue to write in the same world? Yep, definitely. Yeah, please don't stop. Not planning on it at all. I've got loads to do. Seriously, loads. So I'm not going anywhere. I hope. Landon. I've read over 400 books in the last 2 years, and Nate is easily one of my top 10 favourite characters. Oh, very kind. Thank you very much. I'm starving for answers. I need to know who Nate's father is and why Nate has so much potential and how it manifests. Some of those book 7, some of those not. Is Nate's dad part of the Norse or any other pantheon? He is part of a pantheon. Yeah, I can tell you that. That's not a massive spoiler. so many people. There's a Hellequin page on Facebook where people can go and have a chat if they want to. A lot of people on there have discussed who Nate's father is. I think one person, maybe two, got it right. So, and same with my liege. Maybe one or two people will know who my liege is, or has figured out. Most people haven't. Everest, what is he really? Book 7. This is becoming a running theme, I know, that I'm just going to say Book 7 to everything. But, Book 7. I'm a little over halfway through Book 6 now, and I've been looking for answers, speculation, and a fan theory, and there's nothing. I guess my question is there any hints you can give us? Book 7. Yeah, I know, it's not much of an answer, is it really? But, no, Book 7 is where everything, lots of things will be explained. Erebus, is definitely one of those things. Yeah. And Zeus and stuff like that. Yeah, they're all explained in Book 7. Mobley 1. Okay. After listening to Promise of Wrath, I found myself asking a lot of questions, hoping that you will answer them in your next book without the feeling of being rushed. Okay. There are so many loose ends. When are we going to learn who Nate's father? Well, you will learn who Nate's father is. Yeah, promise. Is Nate ever going to see his mother again? Yeah, probably. What happens in the Norse realm? Ooh, yeah, Norse realm's coming up. Don't worry about that. That's definitely coming up. Looking forward to writing the Norse realm stuff. Will we see the dwarves take back their realm? Maybe. Have we met the puppet master in the past books? Yes. Yes. You have definitely met my liege in past books. He or she has been in past books. Promise. I know this isn't a question, but Hera needed to get punished for her actions next month. Hera will have to have her comeuppance at some point. Yes, I'm sure. But yeah, Hera's got stuff coming up. I like the new Mordred. I love seeing how he explains some of the things that happened to him. I love to see him redeem himself. Will Mordred get a spin-off in the universe? No. Half of Book 7 is Mordred, like I said. And then after Avalon Chronicles, the trilogy after that, Mordred will play a very big part in that trilogy. Are we going to get James Langdon? Okay, I have answered that one. I don't know. I'm glad to see in the book that Nate is thinking things through. Yeah, it took a while, didn't it? Yeah, I kind of... a big complaint with the books was that Nate was always rushing off. And yeah, that's kind of who he was. He kind of wanted to be the person who played with the bigger pantheon, who wasn't scared of them, who showed no fear, who just charged in. And as the books went on, he was dealing with more and more powerful people, and that worked when he was dealing with, you know, low level guys. But it doesn't work when you're dealing with Hera. And he's figured that out. He has occasionally allowed his arrogance to override his common sense. And he's getting his head together, hopefully, now. Can you provide a recap on what Elemental versus Omega Magic is in the new book? Yes, definitely. The new book has a big chunk about Elemental and Omega Magic. So yeah, there's a big thing about that. I'm not sure what they are, which are the opposite, and if you shadow you can't use light. The opposite, if you have... Right, well, Elemental is fire, water, earth, and air. Earth and air can't be used together. Fire and water can't be used together. Other than that, it's fine. Yeah, that's right. And then it's matter, mind, which you can't have both, and shadow and light, and you can't have both. And that's the Omega Magics. On top of that, there's blood magic, which is a separate thing altogether, and you can merge the elements. You can't merge the Omega Magics. You can merge the elements. So fire and water, fire and air even. Fire and air, is lightning, and earth and fire is magma, and water and air is book 7. Yeah, I know. That's the answers for everything at the moment. Okay, Kevin. My question is, since this was the last kind of book, how assume that Nate will shed his Hellequin identity in this book? Can't say. Don't want to say, because it kind of spoils the book. The stuff will happen. There is a reason why Hellequin is no longer something that will be. Lachizar. I hope I'm not too late to ask one question. First question, when the tattoo sealed Nate and Morgan, they were very young. Did both of them have the advanced magic when they were young, or did the tattoo just seal the potential for that magic? Also, what did the fourth mark unseal on the first 3? Power Neck was the fourth was unclear. Oof. Okay, I have to go through in my head because I can't quite remember, but pretty certain the fourth was shadow magic and the fifth was no, shadow magic was third. Fourth was the dwarven runes, dwarven glyphs. He can read them. The original dwarven glyphs, not he can read all of it. So that's what that one was. And then the other 2 are still sealed. So yeah. Did both of them have advanced magic when they're young? The blood magics, the curse is there. I think that's explained in book 7 too. Is exactly why it was put there. Yeah, I don't want to say anything because I'm pretty certain it's book 7 that explains it. Is there any possibility of having... Oh, this is Jenna. Is there any possibility of having Infamous Rain turned into an audiobook? No, probably not. No. It's the demand isn't probably big enough, I don't think, because it's not published by... My publisher, it's published by me. So, maybe not. Maybe one day I might do, yeah, but the amount of time and effort you have to put into kind of get it all sorted out for it, no, probably not. Daniel, hi Steve, has already been mentioned by a few. Will James Langdon? Yeah, I don't know. Will James do that one? Will, Air and Fire Lightning, Earth and Fire Magma, Water and Earth Golems. What does Water and Air make? Book 7. This is just a go-to answer at the moment. You don't see what happens when you mix different types of mega magic because nothing happens. You can, I think there's a scene in book 7, and this isn't spoiler anyway, but that Nate pours his shadow magic into his sphere. So he can do that. So he could pour that magic in, but if he has mind or matter, you can't mix that with shadow or whatever. Lee. I'm probably late, we never know. First of all, cheers for your writing. I enjoyed your book. Thank you very much. More than welcome. Question. I mentioned my sci-fi epic. What happened to that? It's called Warbringer. First book is called Prince of Nothing. It was 260,000 words. It was massive. I sent it to my agent, who liked it, and he asked me to not make it 260,000 words long. So I chopped it in half. I am currently editing it before it goes back to him. So it'll be about 140,000 words long by the time I'm done. So it'll be 2 books, not 1. Yes, that is what I'm doing at the moment. As soon as this week and next week, I'll be finishing off the edits and get it back. I've also got a fantasy book I want to write, epic fantasy, and another sci-fi book involving mechs because they're awesome. I want to write a book about them. Question about Mordred from Monica. I'm curious why you had turned him good again. Now Nate has no arch enemy. Oh, he does. Trust me. Something like that, but I'm not sure there's been enough interaction to be sorted out. I'm not critiquing. I love Mordred's new character, but I'm guessing you had that handle long. Just curious. Yeah, Mordred. Okay, anyone who has not read book 6, you want to skip forward like a minute or 2 because spoilers for book 6, people. Yeah, Mordred isn't the enemy. Everything that happens to Mordred that's explained in book 6, and why he went, crazy. Yeah, no, he is not a nemesis. There is a nemesis. Yeah, I don't want to say who it is, but I can say it's my liege, but I don't want to say who that is. But yeah, that's definitely Nate's a nemesis. I guarantee that. Right, Robert, your personal source of inspiration. All sorts of things, anything and everything. I'll just look at something and I'll think that's a good idea. Let's see, I could look at anything in my office, a book, a piece of Lego, anything, and be like, that's a great idea. Let's do that. So yeah, that's where that is. And inspiration comes from everything and anything. I could just walk down the street and have an idea. Julia, what things do you end up editing out of the books and why? I don't edit a lot out because I'm pretty good at knowing what goes in before I start writing it. So I don't have to worry about editing stuff too much out. Excuse me, I'm going to drink water. So yeah, I don't edit a lot out in terms of like big characters. Book 6 was supposed to have Celine in it, but she wasn't in the end. It didn't work. Book 1 was supposed to have a lot more. In the beginning of book 1, I can't remember the character's name, but Nate's robbing the place. And he meets the woman, and they go upstairs and have sexy time. That was going to lead somewhere a bit more interesting than where it did, which is. But I couldn't fit it in the book, and so I just kept that beginning bit, which in hindsight I'd like to completely change. But I find book 1 a hard go back to, because I think I've improved as a writer since then. And I think most writers would say that their first book, they'd be like, "Ooh, yeah, I don't need to change a lot." So that got edited out. Book 6. There was a huge bit in book 6 about Lee O'Hara, which didn't work at all and went nowhere other than a very cathartic ass kicking from Nate. So that got edited out as well. Mostly, not a lot. No, not a lot gets edited out. Eagle. This is from Twitter. Where did you find that eagle? Right, anyone who's not following me on Twitter, I'll put links in the description. I have my picture on Twitter is me holding a golden eagle. I don't find it so much as because one down the street just find an eagle. No, I went to an owl and raptor place in the New Forest, and you go in and handle the birds and stuff. So I got to hold an owl, a couple of different ones, and a vulture, which was terrifying because they're massive, and falcons and kites, and the eagle, and if you never hold an eagle, it's a very intimidating experience because despite the fact you have a very thick glove on your hand, you feel those bloody claws. Each one is like massive. So yeah, it was a great day, but yeah, that's where the picture's from. Right, Nathaniel, will the Hellequin throw down against aliens? No. Just... no. No. I can't think of another way to put that. It'd be quite funny. I have sci-fi books I want to write, and there'll be aliens in those, so I'll have something happen in them instead. Rob, is Elvis alive? No, he's a figment of your imagination. So he was never alive. Sorry. Ben, where do babies come from? Hades, if they're anything like my children. And Al said, I hope this isn't a stupid question. You've included the Greek and Mesopotamian gods, but what about Christian God? Not a fucking hope in hell. If Jesus can feed the 5,000, he's clearly an alchemist, or is that too blasphemous? Book 7 is the closest I'm ever going to get to Christian inserting Christian gods and beliefs into the book. I am not someone who believes in religion as a rule, and I don't want to unnecessarily piss off people for just no reason. I think putting Jesus in there would piss off people for just no reason. And also other things have done it already. Jim Butcher's books have got the God and angels, and Supernatural's got every fucking angel and demon you can think of in there. And I don't really want to have to retread over things that other people have already done. And I don't see the point, unless you've got something new to say. So, yeah, if you want to, you know, Lucifer does much better as the TV show does, you know, as God and angels and stuff than I feel like I need to do. So, but Book 7's about as close as I'm ever going to get. There's little bits in there about a few characters from Christianity, but not Jesus, not God, not any of those kind of things, not the apostles or any of that. No, no. Dan, what inspired you to write and why urban fantasy? I like urban fantasy. I like monsters and mythology, and I like the idea that it's set in modern day, and I like big bombastic craziness. With urban fantasy, I can literally just throw everything in the kitchen sink at it and see what happens. And that's why, essentially, I have ideas for epic fantasy and science fiction and things like that as well. But urban fantasy came first. That's pretty much it. So, after an hour, if you managed to sit through that, then thank you, because bloody hell, that was long. I finished my Ask Me Anything. I think, you know what, I'm going to do a competition. So thank you for sitting through an hour of this. Right, wait there. I have got, this is about half, lots of the audiobooks. There's not any particular number of each one, but everyone who comments on the YouTube below, I will put your name in a hat, and I will take out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 names, and they'll all get one, and I'll sign the cover and send it to you. I don't care where you live, I'll just send it to you. Now these are, I don't know who's going to get what, because it's going to be random. Because, wait a minute, I found another one. We'll call it 10. So, 10. Because some of them are Crimes Against Magic, some of them are, well, they got Prison of Hope. So, leave a comment on the video. You can like it and subscribe if you want to, but I don't know if I'm going to be doing any more videos, so sure, go crazy. But leave a comment, and I will select a name, and 10 names, and I'll send you a book, MP3. And thank you very much for listening to my rambling strangeness, and thank you very much for buying the books, and long may they continue. Cheers.